Once again, we're here with Kathy D. Carter, the Soul Finder, kathydcarter.com. And I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit. I'm Frito. We just recorded an episode where we talked about your story. We talked about a near-death experience that you had.
Yes.
Okay. A little bit about me is
Let's hear yours.
I had a hospital stay last year.
Okay.
And it was a close to 5-month hospital stay.
That's long.
I'll make the story very short. I'll skip to the end of the story. The summary is basically I had double pneumonia since May, but didn't do anything about it until August.
Interesting.
By the time I went to the doctor, by the time I checked myself into the ER, the way the ICU doctor told me after I got out was, Frito, your body looked at you and said, if he's not going to shut us down, we'll shut us down for him. And by the time you checked into the hospital, all your vital organs, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, and your heart all just shut down at the same time. When I checked in, I think they put me on life support within half an hour, if not shorter. I woke up close to 6 weeks later from a drug-induced coma. I'd been on a ventilator. I had multiple surgeries after I woke up. And there was twice, from what they told me, first of all, they told me they didn't think I was going to live.
Right.
Before they put me on life support, they thought, it's kind of futile. But then they officially had 2 times where they thought they had lost me, and I was in the coma at that point. But then there was another handful of times, probably like another 4 times, where they didn't know if I was going to survive another minute. And then for the first 2.5 months in the hospital, it was touch and go.
Right.
It was, even though I felt fine, they didn't know whether I was going to ever get out of that hospital.
Right.
I want to talk about your near-death experience, because I had one that I thought I was awake until you just told me about yours.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the one you described in the last episode we recorded was a very, not to sound too sensitive, because I don't want people to think I'm sensitive. It's very beautiful. First of all, tell me about your faith background, your religion. Are you religious? Was it a religious experience?
I would not have called it a religious experience. I would have maybe called it a spiritual experience.
Did you think you were in heaven? Because you talked about a bright light that was a very inviting light.
I believe at this point in my life that heaven and hell is created here on earth by us.
Okay.
I do not believe they exist beyond when we transition out of the human transport system.
So your near-death story is not, I died and went to heaven and came back?
No.
Okay. Would have been a better story. No, just kidding.
Sorry.
No. Well, neither is mine, by the way. But you also described kind of having an out-of-body experience.
Oh, definitely. It was totally out of body. Yes.
Okay. And this is what got me to thinking.
Let's hear it. Come on.
Because the one that I remember, and I've got goosebumps. I thought that I was awake when this happened. But after listening to your story, I'm beginning to wonder if I was awake or not. Because what happened was I had a surgery.
Right.
And I think it was a simple gallbladder surgery. But first of all, there's no simple surgeries when it involves you. And when you're in the condition I was in, there's no simple surgeries.
Well, and being put under is very stressful. People do not realize how dangerous that is.
So my experience was after the surgery. Got back to my room, and I'm just going to tell you the way I saw it.
Yeah, right.
And I'm coming out of the anesthetic. And I become awake, and there are no less than 6, I don't know if they were doctors, I don't know if they were nurses, 6 men in scrubs in my room. 4 of them were surrounding my bed. One was at the monitors, the screens where your blood pressure is. And there's one at the computer that was documenting everything. and they were screaming at each other, and they're cussing, and they're in full-fledged panic mode because I was bleeding internally. They had already sewn me back up. I was bleeding internally, and they didn't know where I was bleeding from. And they were flipping out because didn't know what was going to happen. And at one point, and I laugh about it, and I'll get into why I'm laughing about it. I want to talk to you about this too. And like I said, they're cussing at each other. They're like, we're going to effing lose him. We're going to effing lose him. And I remember laying there with my eyes open, and I couldn't talk because I had a trach. Thinking, guys, I'm right here. I can hear every word you're saying. You're talking about how I'm going to die. I can hear it, and it was humorous to me. It was funny. And I'm beginning to wonder whether I was really laying there or I was actually out of body watching it happen. And
tell me more.
To me, it's a better story if I was out of body.
Tell me more.
But that leads me to the peace. And I'm going to try and do this so I get emotional.
It's okay.
But I had such a peace that it was amazing. Here these guys are freaking out that I'm going to die, and I'm basically wanting to tell them, hey, it's okay.
Let me go.
And I wasn't wanting to die, but the peace was amazing. Did you experience that?
Yes, the light, yes, very peaceful, calm. I mean, everything is just lifted. It was just freedom.
And I am religious. I do have faith. And the whole time I was in the hospital, I knew one of two things was going to happen. I was either going to survive, and that's great, or I'm going to die and go to heaven. What I didn't want was pain.
Right.
I didn't want suffering. And in that moment, when these people are screaming that I'm going to die, I was fine. I was good. I was happy. And I don't know if I'll ever get that peace again.
Oh, we will when we transition out.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
So it was the same experience for you as far as the peace goes?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's hard to describe, but peace is a good word for it, too.
And I flipped a truck once. And it wasn't, and I think the way you described it was good. It wasn't a near-death experience because, I was never in danger of dying, except when you flip a truck.
You could.
It could have gone really wrong. And I kind of had a peace then, too, because I could look at the truck and then realize, how did I survive that? And when you have an experience like that, which is a completely different level than the first one I described, but when you have an experience where you can look at something and say, I probably shouldn't have survived, there's also a peace that came to me that, okay, there's a reason.
Exactly.
There's a reason that I didn't die there. But it also can kind of mess with your mind on, okay, what's the reason, and you don't want to waste that opportunity.
Right.
And I'm reading a little bit on KathyDCarter.com that you have pretty much since you were a teenager had a desire to help others.
Right.
And help others in the healing process. So when you were going through your issues, did you have that? Okay, so there must be a reason.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because I think I counted that up once. I think it was 7 times in my life I could have easily passed and didn't. Broke a electric pole once, and the wires came down on top of the car, and it had rained. I hydroplaned off, headed down to a creek, but the pole stopped me. And the wires were on the top of the car. All I saw was smoke at the hood. So my thought was, get out of the car. And literally the guy told me it had melted the ball bearings in the car.
Wow.
It had bounced back up when I got out and then came back down on the car. Those kinds of things.
Yeah. And I think everyone, if you've lived long enough, has experiences like that. Mm-hmm. And
well, especially warriors do, because what I describe as warriors are the ones that came to help change society to become more connected as we're all one, mm-hmm. and as one with Mother Earth. Instead of destroying her, the warriors have come to try to get everyone back to the love frequency, the unconditional love, that we all support one another, and it's not about money.
How many, can you quantify how many categories? You just said warriors. Mm-hmm. What are the levels?
Well, there's many different levels that I've been shown. I mean, we have the people that, in the warrior category even, you can separate it out. Some are more activists that do things to fight for law change. Others are people that just help other people. There's such a wide extreme, but the warriors they're the ones that feel that they get that empty feeling, or they get that unsettled feeling that says, I'm supposed to be doing something, but they don't know what it is. And that's why I came up with, well, actually a friend came up with the term soul finder, because I help people find what that is and to get them into doing what that their missing part. And for everybody, it's different. I mean, they have to go down different paths to get to that and to discover what it is. And a lot of times, the warriors are the ones that have metaphysical gifts. The warriors are the ones that have lots of addictions. Because, as we mentioned in an earlier episode, or maybe it was this one, knowing that I wanted to help heal people. Mm-hmm. That is something, those are the clues that you have along your path that there's something else you're supposed to be doing.
Do you believe that everyone has a purpose?
Absolutely.
And
yes.
Is that purpose assigned?
I think it's more what I feel that it's more that what we carry in our eternal soul. And we come for a life on the planet Earth because you learn lessons because of the duality. And the soul's purpose, a lot of people believe that we sign some sort of contract. We make an agreement as to what we're going to do. And to your question, besides the warriors, we have people that they're just observing what's going on Earth. They're really not playing an integral part. They're just observers.
So what's their purpose?
Their purpose is to observe. They just live and enjoy. Everyone comes to the planet Earth, what I believe today, to enjoy the physicality. Because as an eternal spirit, soul, you are only a little speck of energy. On the planet Earth, everything is a lower frequency so that we can experience and touch and feel and smell and hear, taste. We have all the senses that only a physical realm gives a person. Well, gives an eternal soul in a human transport system that experience. And that's why people like to come experience life on the planet Earth, because it's physical. So the observers are enjoying the physical part, but they're also observing the society. Then we have the people that they're just the doers. They work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. They're the ones that keep everything running, things made, things going on. So, and there's lots of levels. I mean, that's just some of the main categories.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to start trying to do this every episode.
Okay.
And if I don't do it in an episode, I want you to remind me to.
Try.
Unless you think it's just an awful idea. Because one of the things about the two of us is we've had some great conversations.
Yes.
I'm skeptical.
Yes.
I'm a lot less skeptical now
than before. Good.
And I think you've seen that.
Yes.
And I want to point out to a lot of people listening right now that, and I hope they're listening, because I hope we're reaching an audience that is skeptical also.
Right.
It's great to reach an audience that's on board and wants to get advice from you and wants to continue their journey. But I hope we're reaching skeptics too.
Right.
And when you say things like transport and use words like that, the skeptics are like, okay, this is a bunch of new age mumbo jumbo. And I can tell you this, you've won me, and not that you're trying to win me over, but
Right.
the more you listen to Kathy and the more you talk to her, the less skeptical you get, the more you understand. Now, you know, you may not be 100% on board.
And that's okay. That's what we say all the time. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't settle into your soul right, you throw it out the window. We're not here to preach our story and say you have to listen to us.
Well, and that's part of what I think turns skeptics into maybe not believers in what you're talking about, but let me put it in a Christianity way. I tell people all the time, look, you don't have to believe that Jesus Christ was even a real person. You can believe that he was a fictional character. You can have no faith in him at all, but still learn. And even if you think he was a fictional character, it's a pretty good example to live by.
Right.
So I think that there's a lot of people, you don't have to completely buy in to things that the Soul Finder's talking about, but you can learn.
Exactly.
And you can take what you can take, and it can improve your life. So I want to kind of send that message, and it just for a quick second in every episode, just to remind people, look, Kathy's not trying to get you necessarily to
follow my way. Not at all.
And as you said, some people are just here to observe. I've never heard you say that before.
We want everyone to follow their soul's way. And we're just a coach, an observer to help them find that.
Okay. Great. Now, and I'll end with this. As you're pointing out, when I was in the hospital laying in that bed, when you're in a hospital and you can't move, which I couldn't, you have a lot of time to think.
Yes, you do.
And one of my main thoughts, and it was a positive thought, you know, a lot of people, and I'm not going to lie, or, you know, I was one of them, why me? Why is this happening to me? But I always had it, I think, in a positive way, thinking, you know what, I thought I was living a good life. I thought I was helping a lot of people. I'm very giving. Obviously, it wasn't enough.
So you feel that was a punishment?
Not a punishment, no. No, and that's where I'm going with
Next time?
No, that's where I'm going with it was a positive thought. I didn't think it was a punishment. I thought it was a message, hey,
wake up.
you can do more.
Yes.
Almost like you graduated.
Yes.
Okay, you've accomplished this.
You made it through
now
this.
It's time for you to take the next step. And unfortunately, for you to take the next step, I've got to strike you down.
Because we're so hard-headed.
Yeah.
Because we push until they had to, what I see now, they literally had to lay me out flat to get me to deal with my stored emotion. And that was what was needing healed so I could do the work I needed to do.
Maybe it's cocky of me, but the way I looked at it was, okay, Mark, let's say it's God. God's saying, okay, Mark, you know what? You've done a great job up until now, and you could continue living your life exactly the way you're living it and be very happy and help a lot of people, but I want more from you. I want you, and unfortunately, in order for me to get more from you, I've got to put you in a position where you can't continue doing
what you
the
were
good
doing.
work you're doing here. I want you to rise above that and do. I want you to share your story more, rather than going and help people find toilet paper. Rather than you doing good, deeds of good service. I want you to influence other people.
Right.
So here's your graduation, and if I don't do this to you, you'll just continue doing what you were doing. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to, and that may just be complete BS on my part. That's what I kept telling myself.
No, that's the message you received, and that's what you're aiming to do now. And I know that some listeners, because I'm curious, so we got to go back to where you saw the doctors around you and you were hearing this. What happened after that? What
happened in the world? What happened was they rushed me back in
to surgery,
to an emergency surgery at like 3:00 in the morning. They found where I was bleeding from. They fixed it, and I was in the hospital for another 3 months.
So what do you remember from your story of them being around the bed and stuff? Was that just it? Is that all you remembered of that?
That's all I remember is that and the piece.
So that was basically, I would say, similar to what mine was, and it was an out-of-body experience because they did not know you could hear them. They did not know you were awake in that sense.
That's exactly why, and I just put that together when we recorded the last episode, because I think that
you did the same thing I did,
that if they
more or
knew
less.
that I was awake and could hear them,
Oh.
they would not have acted the way they were acting.
There's many people that have heard the doctors talk like that, and the doctors think they're out and they can't hear them.
Well, and it just, you made me think of that, because the way I looked at it before was I was in such bad shape, they didn't give a crap. They had a job to do, and I was fine with that too. They've got a job to do, and it doesn't matter whether this dude can hear him or not. We got to fix him.
Right.
But now, as I think about it,
you had that, like
they
you
didn't
described
know that I could
it.
hear him, I think,
No,
now.
they didn't. They did not know, and your eyes may or may not have been open. But it doesn't matter because you had just come out of surgery, right? You were still under anesthesia. So they knew there was no way that you could be awake. And they were discussing because they were in an emergency situation. But you were able to hear it, and you felt the peace and the light of going on. And you were in that in-between, and you came back to your body.
Wow, that's so interesting. All right, I'm ready to record another episode.
Yes.
Now. Okay. So that's the Soul Finder podcast for right now. KathyDCarter.com. I want to encourage you, if you're a skeptic, keep listening. If you know some people that could be skeptics, have them listen. Tell them to stick around. Hopefully it's a very easy episode to listen to because we just talk.
That's right.
Pull the curtain back. We don't really... You came in today, and my goal was to record a handful of episodes, and neither one of us knew what we were going to talk about.
Absolutely not.
So it's just a conversation, and you just kind of, if you got to listen to this one, you just kind of witnessed Kathy opening my eyes to something that may have happened to me. So, Soul Finder, KathyDCarter.com. Thank you.